In this episode, what we're going to be looking at is, can your expectations in your sport be improved? And I'll give you a quick answer to that. Yes, it can, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So don't go anywhere, and I'll see you very shortly. Hey there, Tiff here. Welcome to Ambition Habits. Lovely to see you here again. Expectations. You may have listened to or seen a video about me talking about expectations in sport and how people have these huge and high expectations around their sport about what they should be doing, and the impact versus, positive versus negative impact around what they're actually in their performance level, and the expectations of themselves and so on. So what we're going to do with that today, though, is we're going to actually dig a bit deeper in really focusing on the process so that you can work on getting better outcomes. Because what I find with people is when they're focusing on, or they have this huge expectation that they should be just performing just so much better every time, then what actually then happens for them is if they don't achieve that, and again, they're only looking at, from an expectation point of view, they're only looking at their result, their score. So what I'm a big fan of, and look, I was the same when I competed in sport early on as a teenager and early adult. That was the focus as well, was purely the outcome. If you won, you were great. If you lost, you were crap. That was pretty much the attitude. So we want to make sure that we're managing that better. And I'm going to show you ways in which we can focus on processes rather than the actual outcome, because the processes will create the outcome. And that's what we want. So I'm going to talk to you about some things that you can do around that. So number one is setting achievable goals. Now, the thing that we can do, we can have big lofty goals, so please don't misunderstand that. But what I want you to be focusing on is setting achievable goals, and the reason that I want you to do that is because you want to feel good like you've actually achieved something. And the big thing that I focus on with people, and with myself when I'm, practicing my own sports, is that, the focus should be around looking at the little wins. So what can you do in your sport and in your practice or in your competition that you can be focusing on what the little wins, what are the little wins that you're going to gain out of that. So for an example, I teach a lot of people golf, and the big focus for that, when people putt, I always, recommend to, with their putting is just get their first putt inside a metre of the hole. If you can get it within a metre, that's a win, right? Because then you're reducing the risk of the, of a 3-putt down to a 2-putt, because you've actually got the ball much closer to the hole. So it doesn't matter you haven't got it in. Get it into an area where you know that you can definitely, sink that second putt, for example. So what I want you to be looking at is set up some achievable goals for yourself and looking at the little wins, okay? So we want to be setting the goal of whatever that is, I need to get, I'll use golf as an example because it springs to mind straight away, is I need to get my first 5 putts within a metre of the hole, no matter what the length is, or something like that, right? That's the goal. And if you do that, woohoo, right? Celebrate. So we want to be making sure that we're setting those achievable goals. Another good one around goals too is setting short-term and long-term goals. So yep, you've got your big lofty goal of what you might be focusing on. Let's say that a long-term goal, for example, for the year, what you want to achieve by the end of the year or throughout the year. And then you've got all these little short-term goals of what you want to achieve over a month or 3 months and so on. So you can have those set as well, but make sure that they're achievable, okay? Because we want to do it's almost like you're progressing up a little ladder, or you're going across the stepping stones, okay? You get that one done, then great, you move to the next one, okay? So it's looking at those little wins, still looking at those little wins. Number 2 is focusing on the process, not the outcome. So I've just been talking about that around goals. So a really good one is having a process-orientated mindset. And what that really is like what I've been talking about with setting goals. Setting these little processes in place that's going to help you achieve what it is that you need to achieve, that's going to give you that bigger result. Okay, like I said, if we focus on the little stuff, then the big great stuff tends to happen. So you want to make sure that your focus is around that process orientation. Okay, that's what we want to be focusing on, not the outcome. Another great one in that area is also celebrating the effort, right? Celebrating for showing up, celebrating the little wins that you're getting out of it. Celebrate that you're actually working on improving that particular area in your game, right? We need to make sure that we're focusing on the processes, on what makes us feel good, so that we can walk off our arena, whatever sport we've been playing, and feel really good about it, not feel like, oh, this wasn't good enough. Okay, we need to be making sure we're focusing on the process. Number 3, I really like this one. It's embracing mistakes as learning. Okay, I just call it feedback. All right, that's all it is. We get feedback whether we've done well, we've got feedback whether we haven't done well. That's pretty much it, right? So there was a great comment that I heard from a neuroscientist, and he said to a particular Olympic athlete that he was working with, said that we win or we learn. So you win, yep, great, you've got all your learnings from that. But if you don't win, then you have all this learning around it, right? The thing that we want to make sure that we're looking at is we're like identifying what's working well, right? So we're reflecting on that. So we've got notes and everything all around that. And then we're also aware that it's not working well, and it's like, okay, let's break it down and really understand how I can improve that. And then we adjust, don't we? That's what you do. When things aren't working well, we adjust. It's not that you're a failure, it's that that particular thing that you're doing doesn't work so well, right? So then you adjust, reset, understand how to make it work better, and then off you go. Number 4, maintain a healthy perspective. So do you ever find that you have sleepless nights worrying about how you're going in your sport, how you're performing, whether you're going to play well when you wake up in the morning and go to your sports arena? Well, what we want to be focusing on is like a healthy perspective around it, right? So you're not going to die if you don't win, right? You're not going to die if you lose. So the thing is like understanding that, you know, it's a journey, right, of whatever you're participating in, and understanding what, you know, I'm a big fan of like understanding what's working well, right? So we need to go, okay, well, that's working well for me, that particular thing that I'm doing, great. That's not working so well, that's okay, because I'm learning from it, right? And it's having that healthy perspective around your sports performance, so that you can, again, understand what works well, understand what doesn't work well. It's as simple as that. Number 5, mental preparation, mental techniques. So this is an area that I think really it's more so the elite athletes tend to do this, not so much the local sports competitor and so on. And I think it's a shame, to be honest, that they're not focusing on that, or you may not be focusing on that. And the big thing that you want to understand from a sport is it's not this, you know, 90% physical, 10% mental, or 90% mental, 10% physical. It's 100% mental, it's 100% physical, okay? So you've got this trying to connect with all of this, right? And so what you want to make sure that you're focusing on is ways in which you can perform better. So it can be attitude, you know, like what you're actually saying to yourself. It can be relaxation techniques so that you're, you know, teaching yourself to be calm. It can be mental rehearsal, like visualization as they call it, in the sense of like how you'd actually like to perform out on your sports arena for that day. So it's using a lot of the mental aspects, the positive self-talk, the positive affirmations, the mental rehearsal, the relaxation techniques, meditation, breathing, all of that kind of thing that's actually going to help you perform better. And believe me, it really does. It doesn't matter what sport you play. If you've got some techniques in place to help you manage your mindset better, then you're actually going to perform better because you've got yourself quite balanced. When you're all stressed and worried and in fear, you're not going to perform so well because you end up being in like a fear state, right? So then you're like in total reaction mode versus focusing on what you need to be doing to make you perform better in your sport. Okay, so I can't emphasize that enough. And if you're not doing it, later episodes I'll bring a lot of things up for you that you can be working on. Number 6, communication. Oh, that's so important. It's communication with yourself. It's communication with your coach. It's communication with the people that you're working with if you're in a team environment. It's communication with the people around you that are supporting you and so on. Make sure it's very open, right? That you feel that you can talk about what's going on for you and that you can have this healthy discussion about what's actually going on for you in your sport. I find that, look, I'll tell you from a coaching perspective, coaches don't know everything, okay? They don't. Because each athlete is individual, and so therefore then what you need to do is you need to find what's actually going to work for that particular athlete, okay, or that particular sports person. So, I could be working with one lady who's 60 in her competing in golf, and my communication with her is going to be different to someone who's 20, competing on the tennis circuit or something like that, right? So we've got to make sure that you and the coach, you are open in communication with each other, you understand each other, and so that you're getting that support that you need from your coach. You're also getting that support you need from your family and friends and teammates and whoever else is on board with you. But it needs to be an open communication. I can't express that enough. But you need to be talking openly about what's actually going on for you in your sport, because if you bottle it all up, especially when you get really frustrated or you feel you're under pressure or, your coach gets peeved with you or whatever, you need to be talking about that because you don't want that to impact your performance, right? Because you're here to enjoy it too, right? What's the reason that you've taken up the sport? Yep, you might like the sport, you might like the way you might be good at it, you might be like the feel of whatever the sport you're doing, and you really enjoy being there. You like the fitness aspects of it as well, the social aspects of it as well. So you want to make sure that you're very open and communicating to everyone like the love that you have for the sport and how much you want to improve, but also how much you want to enjoy it. And number 7, really good one, be compassionate, and it's being self-compassionate. Right, being kind to yourself. I've spent many a year in my sporting career in 50 lashes. Every time I get to walk out on the tennis court or the golf course or whatever, with these huge expectations and not performing, not performing well when you're training and so on. You're never going to perform well when you're competing if you're putting yourself down all the time. Okay, so if everything's just not good enough, then it's never going to be good enough, because when you actually do have a good result happen, you don't actually appreciate it because you're looking at that everything is just not good enough for you. So just make sure that you're really focusing on being kind to yourself. Remember, it's a journey, it's an experience. You're learning a lot about the sport, you're learning a lot about how you operate and what you want to create from your sport. So it's really important that you be kind and loving towards yourself and appreciate the little wins that you get. Yeah, you may not always win, that's okay. You're going to learn from it as well. But a big thing is to make sure that you're really enjoying the journey of it also. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. There's some process areas that you can be really focusing on to help you improve those expectations that you have around your sport. It's just going to be so much easier if you approach it that way. You're going to enjoy the journey a lot more, and you're going to feel so much better about yourself around that. So I hope you enjoyed that. Love it if you could leave a comment down below wherever you heard that. I'll have those steps in place for you that you can read wherever you hear this podcast or see this video, and love it if you could leave a comment down below wherever you hear this information, and dream big, believe in you, go after your dreams. Have an awesome day. Take care. Talk soon. Bye for now.